What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School, the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. This is a very special podcast audit episode with my pod pal Lillian from the Lest We Forget podcast. Lillian, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here.
All right. So I know you are full of ideas. You've got a really cool entrepreneurship story. Let's set a goal for this session. So we've got a direction, because you and I are both idea people. We could go in a million directions, but I want to kind of set a focus point. So let's look 6 months out into the future. And, if everything's really cranking along with your show, with your business, let's start to paint that picture a little bit today. So what would that potentially look like for you?
In 6 months, I hope to be bringing in revenue in addition to other ways than having my host pay to be on my radio station. I just think that it's a crime that I have to do this, but it's operational expenses.
Yeah.
And it's not a profit to me because it gets thrown right back into operating a station. And people don't seem to realize that there is a cost factor in producing and creating a really top-notch podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at some ideas to do this. Who do you feel like is your ideal listener for your show? Or who's the ideal person that you really want to reach with your show?
Curiously enough, even though it's a woman-owned, woman-run, woman-dominated station with women podcasters, 57% of my demographic audience, hold on to your hats, are men.
Okay.
And they all come from Eurasia, from the Western and Eastern countries. And the only thing I can think of is that in their countries, they do not have the flow of information and content that you can hear in the States. I know that the United States has its problems, doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
But compared to a lot of other countries, we have the freedom to put out information or misinformation or half information and half not, but we have that freedom. And I suspect a lot of those countries who come in and listen to me do not have that freedom.
Right.
And that's what makes the difference. The general audience that has been following my station for the past 17 years is from 25 to 35, from 18 to 25, and 35 to 45. And yes, I have some great grandparents who tell me my great comes in after school or before school, and he turns your station on, and then I listen to it to the day, and when he comes back from school, he turns it off. So I know that I get some of those really older people.
Very cool. Okay. So with your revenue generating opportunities, obviously, like things like sponsorships and things like that are a no-brainer, but are you wanting to do more like service-based stuff as well? Like what does that look like for you as far as your business portfolio or what you wanted to develop?
For me, I believe it's more service-based. I was a former professional temporary for more than 10 years. Started at $5 an hour, and I raised a kid on that $5 an hour. And I eventually started making up to $100, $125. Back during the 70s, folks, that was a lot of money compared to today in terms of value. And one of the things I learned as a professional temporary, you certainly need to know as a podcaster, is to how to communicate. And our new brave world is based on communication, verbal skills, and video. And it will keep doing that for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Hopefully, no
Yeah.
meteorite or a bomb will explode.
Okay. So do you have like, now I'm trying to connect the dots of your content with potential offers that you can create in the communication space, or you know, programs, products, and services that are going to facilitate and allow you to coach and level people up in the communication space. Do you have a show or a media channel that you feel like advertises or shows you off doing that at all? So like, obviously I'm in the podcasting business space. I teach people how to make money and grow a show, and I've got a show all about that. Do you have the equivalent of that within your network, or do you feel like that's something that should be created still?
I already have something like that.
Okay.
I taught 2 summers at the Boys and Girls Club in Modesto, California, to low-income and disadvantaged kids,
Okay.
what they call the Great Economic Divide. And these kids ate it up. And I suspect because they are not spoiled with having a tablet and a cell phone and a TV. So it was important to me to teach these kids how to do that. And I had grown-ups coming in as well. So between keeping my ear to the business market and to what's going on there, I would love to offer courses about what I call step-by-step podcasting, because it's more than just speaking into a microphone and getting online with one of the very many companies that are out there to get your voice heard. It takes communication skills. You need to master your people skills. And people say, but I don't have anything to do with the people. And I'm going, oh, yeah, you do. And you have to know how to write and format and do research on Google. I was brought up on the Dewey Decimal System. I can find anything on Google. But the generation below us, the millennials and X and Z and Y, they don't have a clue of how to do that. They also don't know how to write, especially business letters. So I'm looking at all this thinking those are the types of services, or how to give an interview, or how to sit down and have somebody interview you. It's more than just opening your mouth and waving your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and what I do offer is the ability to create 3 podcasts. So I started The Obstacles of Podcasting. And I wrote a book, Gold Nuggets. And basically, I tell you how to start a podcast, but all the background information one really, really needs before they go out into the podcasting world. I know that there's zillions, a plethora, I love that word, plethora of services and companies doing all this, but I know this is going to sound very, well, strange, but hey, but I'm a mom and I'm a grandmom, and I have 3 grandkids that I saw grow up, and the youngest one just turned 10. And he's fascinated with podcasting, and he just wanted to go, 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 go. And I said, well, the first thing you need to do is decide what you want to do. And it didn't occur to him that he says, homework? I have to do homework with podcasting? Really? But Grandma, I don't do homework on Friday. I'm going, boy, are you lucky. I don't have homework during the summer. But and as you well know, if you're a good podcaster, you do homework. You have to practice the piano. Why? I want to go out and play. Well, if you want to be good at podcasting, you have to practice that as well.
Yep. Yep.
So I found when I was teaching the kids, I loved it because we did it virtually via Zoom, one on one. There were 20 kids in each class. One of them wrote to me and said, I finally went and auditioned for a part in a play. And if you hadn't made me get up and do one of the types of podcasting and throw my voice out there, I would never have done that.
That is
And
awesome.
and that's because podcasting is more than just podcasting. You can take it and apply it to just about everything because it's about communication, people skills, presentation, right? You know all this,
Yep.
talking to the choir. But I want these kids to be part of the choir. I want them to understand they can go out there and better themselves. They don't have to work in McDonald's or
Yep.
push a broom or mop floors.
Yep. So I think when we're trying to connect the dots between a potential offer or a newer offer or even an existing offer to people that are reaching via our podcast or our social media or email marketing, um, I feel like being as specific as possible is going to, I mean, it's hugely helped me where like I've really leaned into the service providers that want to leverage podcasting to create this income stream. And like people are like, yeah, you're speaking to me. Like it's not just, I'll teach you all things about podcasting. So I think like when there's a lot of opportunity within the podcasting space, I'll use my friends Michael and Tatiana Parker as an example. They've got an awesome show called Watch for the Hook. They've got a really successful merch and apparel sales company. And they were kind of approaching me like, we really want to market to podcasters. We want to kind of dip into that, that market a little bit because we know a lot of podcasters want to understand how to monetize with merchandise. And I go, you need to create conversations and content where you are the people, like that's the branding, merchandising,
Right.
monetize with helping podcasters monetize with merchandise or whatever. Like they need to be that niche and just own it. And I'm like, you need to apply to speak at Podfest on that topic. You need to, get on stages, get on other people's podcasts about that. Like, don't be the everything about everything podcast tips person. Like, where are you special and unique, and how do you market that? So, like, knowing what I know about you and your brand and what we've just talked about, Lillian, I really see communication as a passion and like well-rounded communication. So, like a message of communication skills and tips and training for podcasters, like not just because otherwise you get lumped into everybody just talking about podcasting sort of thing. And they're going to be, people could show up looking like, I need to know what microphone she recommends or something like just like random things when you really want to talk about communication and communication skills and like the art of communication. So
Yes.
I envision conversations that like have that kind of a TED Talk title, the art of conversation for podcasters, or, just leveling up your communication skills to become a well-rounded podcaster or something like that. I feel like that messaging is going to be really important to draw in the person that you are going to be passionate about helping. Now, one clarification I need is you've mentioned kids a couple of times. I mean, do you feel like you mainly want to market like podcasting to younger people, or because if we can identify
Yeah,
a
I would
niche
like to
tone,
try I would like to try to start with them in high school. Let's face it, I got the 2 grandkids. They're juniors this year. One wants to go to Columbia. The other one wants to go to Parsons School of Design in Greenwich, which is fine. One's a private school, expensive, and then Columbia, well, over the rainbow in that respect. Both know they need to get jobs, but they really don't know how to hold a conversation outside of their comfort zones. And that's where people get into trouble, right? So if I can hit juniors and seniors, college age kids, and then beyond, I think that would be an ideal market. But I know I'm a 50s kids. That's what we were raised for. Was not given really the type of skills that kids who are graduating from college today have. I mean, they have courses on podcasting, they have courses on social media, they have courses on things that I had to learn the old fashioned way. I wasn't
Yeah.
introduced to a computer until my son was born. That was 73. It's difficult for people in, I guess, your generation to even think that computers once took up 2 football fields. But that was then, and this is now.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that we need to get these kids going so that wherever they go and do with it, they are understood the first time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm starting to see the monetization picture form a little bit. Like if we were to dive and really lean into this niche, the only thing about a younger audience like that is they don't have any money to invest in anything. So they're not like, I don't feel like those are your that's not your investing
Yeah,
audience.
so
But
I mean, yes. So my best bet is 25 to 35 and 35
well,
to 45.
honestly, I think there's an opportunity still with this younger niche because let's say that you launched a new podcast that was targeting um, educators. You just mentioned it. There are podcasting courses in high school and college and media in the media umbrella. What if you have a show that teaches high school educators how to create a podcasting program for their students? And that creates a consulting offer for you. I just a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I've done a couple of these where I've done podcast audits of people that have a show that is specifically for educators, like in the music space or whatever. And they teach them how to be better educators in the music space and how to make a more robust program, how to get better results from their students. And they are paid to come in and consult on all those things. So you could do, I mean, how many freaking middle schools and high schools and even colleges are out there that could be potential clients for you with your life experience, your media experience, your communication experience, and also like leveraging it. That way you still get to market it as podcasting is a learning vehicle. You're not even getting into like, the business aspect or anything. Like you're at the communication root. You can be a better communicator, lessons learned via podcasting, teaching that to education departments, schools, whatever, and then how to infuse that into their students. And I think it's a great idea. It's a hot topic. People are all about it. The kids will be all about it. Like when I mentioned, like to my 6th grade basketball team that I coach that my son's on, like that I'm a full-time podcaster. They're like, he's famous. Like that's like the instant reaction. They think it's super cool. And that is, teaching people how to do that. Anyway, I think there's opportunity there. That's a very niche show. Education-based shows do really well when you're speaking to educators. So I think that would be the through lines, that again, that natural consultation monetization opportunity or an online course for department heads that want to, use the Lillian Caldwell system for podcast education in high schools and middle schools. Like you name that, and then boom, that's an online course. That's consulting. They can fly you in and pay you to do a guest lecture to kick it off, the VIP package. So all the ideas just start to peel out of my brain from that. And it just starts with, it took us a while to figure out who exactly you want to talk to, but now that we got that, all the ideas are there. So I feel pretty good about this. How do you feel about any of this idea? Are we sparking anything positive in your direction? What do you think?
I like your ideas because my son told me, he says, you're absolutely sparkling. He says, you really loved working with those kids, didn't you? And I said, yeah, because it was like, they had won the lottery and they didn't even know it. And they could really learn how. I had kids who did podcasts about fishing and how to bait a hook and how to go find the worm. They never thought anybody would be interested. I said, oh, no, people like those kind of things. And then I had somebody who was into comic books, and he came and he scripted a whole comic book in a 5-minute podcast. It was the first time anybody said, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you go to Google. This is how you narrow it down. You can use magazines or books. That's what the library's for. Let me show you how to do that. And I just think that this is all communication, but nobody has ever thought about it in those terms. They take it for granted. Well, everybody knows this.
Yep.
But not everybody knows this.
I agree. And we need somebody to teach us. So I think I vote you. Yeah. So I think like action steps, I would really look at, even if it's like a limited series podcast or whatever form it takes, I would have a show. The name of the show is going to be super important branding wise to attract that educator or that education decision maker. So like something that spells out, I'm going to teach you how to create a successful and impactful podcasting class, or basically how to teach podcasting in a media class in your school to improve communication and blah, blah, blah. Like that's, I did a very poor job of describing that, but like, that's what we need to unpack. Like that's the vibe we need to put out. Like, we're talking to educators.
I'll need to borrow your brain for a couple of weeks.
I'll just pop off the top of my bald head and you can wear it around like a helmet. And
you're doing really good. Wow, you're lucky. I love bald men. My husband was bald.
Oh man, look out.
And he had a beard.
Lillian. All right. So I feel like we've hit the ground running on our idea here, and I can't wait to see where we take it. So now I want to make sure also that people can plug in to you in your world, shout out your brand, website, social media. If people want to connect with you, where can they go to do that?
Well, they can start with my website, which is, I'm told this is very old fashioned. What can I say? https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can find us on facebook.com/Passionate World Radio. You can find us on twitter.com/PWRN_PWTR. And you can find us on youtube.com/PWR Network_PW Talk Radio.
There we go. Well laid out. All right.
And LinkedIn.com/Lillian Caldwell. I won't bore you with the rest. Those are we get about more than a half our audience from Facebook, and the rest comes from LinkedIn.
Nice. All right, y'all. If you want to be just like my pod pal Lillian and come on for a podcast audit, make sure you head on over to my website, podcastingbusiness.school. Get signed up, hop on the calendar. Still got a lot of open slots for this summer. Would love to have you on. And with that, pod pals, hopefully we spark some ideas. And now it's time to get out there and start implementing those ideas. I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time.